So last week I made a video talking about what I want and don't want out of Battlefield 6, and we took a look at some of the trailers, got our first impressions and had a bit of a chat about what this game should be. Now, the Battlefield beta has been out for a couple of days now, and I've had the chance to sink a good couple of hours in it, both over the weekend and over the past 2 days. And I really wanted to have a chat about my impressions of the beta, because my opinion has very much changed on the outlook of Battlefield, and not in the best way. Now, I just want to be clear, I don't want this video to be a clickbait, I'm just going to rant about the game, it's shit, and just make a whole list of complaints without actually bringing some constructive criticism to the table, because quite frankly there's too many videos out there either just overhyping Battlefield or just absolutely slandering it for no reason. I think there's not many people out there giving honest criticism about what's actually both good and bad with the game. But I want to take this opportunity to voice my opinion, and hopefully you guys in the comments can also have a chat about your impressions and hopefully at least agree, disagree, tweak my impressions of what Battlefield beta has turned out to be. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is probably one of the biggest problems I see with Battlefield 6, and that is the map design. The beta is released with a selection of maps. The ones we've gotten to play have been Siege of Cairo, the Iberian Offensive, Liberation Peak, and Empire State. So that's 4 out of the 9 maps that are coming at launch with Battlefield 6. And I'm going to be really honest, I don't like any of the maps. I've had a chance to play all of them for a little bit, and I really don't like the way the maps are. There are some good bits about the maps, but they just feel way too small. With the exception of Liberation Peak, that's definitely one of the more open maps. I mean, it's the only map that actually has jets, which kind of denominated the bigger maps in previous Battlefield games. But yeah, all the other maps are really small, and to be honest, they play a bit like a COD map. And I think that's sort of how the whole of Battlefield 6 has really felt for me, is it feels a bit more like a hybrid between Call of Duty and Battlefield. It's not big enough to be Battlefield, but it's too big to be Call of Duty. It's stuck in this weird sort of place where the maps they're too big to be COD maps, but they're too small to be Battlefield maps. And so I think they play all wrong for Battlefield. They're too small, they're too close quarters. Like I said, the only map that has jets is Liberation Peak. Now, we have access to 4 out of the 9 maps. Now, Saints Quarters is another one of the close combat maps, so that's not going to have any jets in it. Operation Firestorm, I guarantee, is going to be the best map at launch by far and the most played, because we've all played Operation Firestorm before. We know it's a killer map, so that one's going to be fine. New Sobek City is probably going to be one of the bigger maps, but I don't know if that's going to have jets on it. And Mirak Valley, I know that they state in their promotion material, is going to be the biggest map, so that will probably have jets on it. But the map selection is way too small, not just like in terms of the maps itself. Yes, it's only 1 less than what Battlefield 4 had at launch, but the maps themselves are a lot smaller than Battlefield's maps. I mean, not to mention that Battlefield 4 released with just bangers of maps across the board. I mean, there's no wink link. Like, I'm looking at the list of Battlefield 4 maps at launch, and there's not a single map I don't like. Sure, there are better ones and there are worse ones, but if I saw one of these come up on the map rotation and it was the next match, I don't think I would leave. I wouldn't leave the queue. Whereas I see something like the Iberian Offensive come up in the beta, and I instantly quit it because I don't like the map. They're too small. A lot of the buildings also aren't enterable. You can get to the first, usually second floor of the building, but then a lot of doors are blocked off, a lot of the windows you can't get to, you can't even get to the rooftops in pretty much all of the buildings. So it feels really like cramped and claustrophobic in a lot of these maps. So I don't know what they were thinking, but if there's one thing that I want them to change about the maps, is I want them to really open them up. I want to have a lot more interiors, I want to have rooftop battles, I want them to be a lot more open because they're just way too small and crowded as it stands. Of course, another thing is that with the maps in Battlefield 4, and the reason I keep bringing up Battlefield 4 is it's the game that we're all comparing it to. It's the last modern Battlefield, so it seems fair that I compare it to Battlefield 4. But with Battlefield 4, the big thing was Levolution, right? And each of the maps had a unique Levolution event that would change the map. Again, some were better than others, but with the Battlefield 6 maps, there aren't Levolution events. There aren't these big, memorable moments of chaos and destruction like there are in Battlefield 4. Yes, the buildings are destructible, you can blow the walls out, but it doesn't change to a large degree how the maps play. They still play relatively similar. Whereas if you're playing something like, let's say, Siege of Shanghai, the map 100% changes once that tower drops. Like, it's almost a completely different map. So the fact that there are no big destruction or Levolution events just makes the maps a lot less memorable. And again, it doesn't have those sort of Battlefield moments. Yes, there's destruction, but not to the scale we were used to in Battlefield 4. And that's another issue I see with a lot of these maps, is they just don't have that memorable factor to them. There's no memorable destruction event. They don't change that much throughout the course of a game, and I think that needs to be looked at. There needs to be more destruction going on, but destruction actually changes how the map plays. Another problem, which kind of relates back to what I was saying about how it feels a bit like a COD game, is the time to kill is way too fast at the minute. It needs to be increased by a bit. Everyone you meet, you can kill within a second or so. I mean, the time to kill is really quick. So that needs to be upped a bit to feel a bit more like Battlefield. And one of the other things is the movement and pacing of the characters also feels a bit off. I'm not the biggest fan of things like the sprinting animation, and also the hip firing just feels a bit off. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's just something with how the character moves. It's slightly too quick and jerky. I don't know, maybe this is a personal preference thing. Maybe you guys will disagree with me here, but I'm playing Battlefield 4, at least I played Battlefield 4 just now to kind of get a feeling of how it feels, and it feels so much smoother than Battlefield 6 does. Again, I can't put my finger on it and what it is. I know it's a different game and inherently it will feel different, but I don't remember this difference being between 3 and 4. I don't remember picking up 4 and being like, wow, this plays very differently to how Battlefield 3 played. It felt like a natural successor, and I don't think the same is said with Battlefield 6. I'd like to hear what you guys think in the comments, if you also agree with this take or if you think I'm just talking out my arse. And of course, I don't think it would do this video justice if we didn't talk about the cheater problem. Maybe some of you are aware, maybe some of you aren't. There's currently an issue going around in the community with a streamer who was accused of cheating, and I think it highlights the bigger issue of how a lot of multiplayer games can be infested with cheaters at the moment, and that also drops the satisfaction. I don't know why you would cheat in a Battlefield game. To a certain extent, I can understand why people cheat in competitive games like, you know, Rainbow Six Siege, CSGO. Like, I understand that to a certain extent because it's really competitive. But Battlefield, I don't feel is that competitive of a game. Sure, you're trying to win, but it's a bit more of a casual game, and so people who hack in games like Battlefield, I really don't understand why they do it. Like, it's supposed to be fun, but it just highlights the issue that cheating is definitely going to be an issue in the multiplayer aspect of Battlefield, and I don't know if this is going to draw more people to single player experiences or even the story of Battlefield 6, so we're going to have to see how that plays out. I really hope that Battlefield 6 releases with a strong anti-cheat, but we're just going to have to wait and see if and how or when a cheater problem does develop, because I think it is inevitable that there will be cheaters in Battlefield 6, but I just hope it's not to a large extent to the point where it drives other people out of the game. And so the last thing I want to touch on is the fact that when I finished playing the beta, I played it for a few hours, and after coming off it, the only thing I really wanted to do was hop into Battlefield 4. And so that does not bode well for Battlefield 6. The fact that I, instead of wanting to play more of the beta or be excited for the maps that are to come, I instead wanted to play Battlefield 4, and I don't know if everyone's going to share that sentiment, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of people who play the beta, who even play Battlefield 6 on launch, and we find that player numbers drop off quickly. But not only that, but Battlefield 4 numbers pick up a bit because people just want that Battlefield experience. There's a lot of contributing factors as to why I want to play Battlefield 4. Some may say it's a false equivalency because obviously Battlefield 4 has been out for a much longer time. There's all this extra DLC content like the map packs and the extra weapons and stuff that just mean there's more of a selection currently now than there is at Battlefield 6. So who knows, maybe after some DLCs we get some more maps, maybe we get some old Battlefield 4 maps remastered. That would be pretty cool. But maybe it's not until Battlefield 6 develops a bit more and we get more DLC weapons and DLC maps that it actually comes into its own. But I'm going to be really honest, I don't think I'm going to buy Battlefield 6. I just don't think it's worth it, especially at full price. With me having Battlefield 4, all of the DLC maps, at the moment I just think it's a better game. And it's a shame to say that because I genuinely really did have hopes for Battlefield 6, and yes, I kind of bought into the hype a bit, but at the end of it I just feel a little bit disappointed. It just didn't quite do enough. It did halfway, it did some good things, it kept, it has an excellent theme, like all of the character models look really realistic, the sound effects, the visuals, it's a very pretty looking game, don't get me wrong, and no doubt some of you have seen already some of the cinematic stuff coming out of like the revive mechanics, so there are genuinely things that Battlefield 6 does well, or even better than Battlefield 4 does. But on the whole, I just don't think it's enough to warrant me purchasing this game at full price. Maybe, again, if DLCs come out and they add new weapons, new vehicles, new maps, sure, maybe then it'll be in a position to rival Battlefield 4. But currently as it stands, I just don't think Battlefield 6 measures up to Battlefield 4. But what do you guys think? I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below. Hopefully you've all had a chance to play the beta, so please let me know what you think about the beta and my take on whether I actually think Battlefield 6 is going to be able to live up to Battlefield 4 or not. But otherwise, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you like my opinion, you like my take, you like hearing my commentary, please leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, as it really does help the channel out. And I am trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so anything you can do to help me on that journey would be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, I hope you guys had a good day, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.